Welcome into the Cactus Golf podcast. We are back here with a virtual meet. First of the Zoom edition here.
I thought we had a virtual one a couple of weeks ago.
Did we?
Yeah,
Were you in Indiana?
I was back home. That's right. I was trying to think who
That's
was
right. So
there.
second virtual. I was thinking you were the solo was not technically virtual.
Yeah,
So
that's when you got kidnapped in Mexico.
yeah, lucky to be here, man. Lucky to be
I had to pay that big amount of money, man, but we got you back. It's okay. I had to bribe them in tailor-made balls, and they gave you back. Just kidding.
They specialize in anything white apparently down there. So
Yeah.
they take any currency that's white.
There you go.
But so yeah, I'm in here in beautiful, chilly Indiana.
Sure.
So
Sure. Chili. Well, that's probably right. There you go.
very chilly. But so we're back here, another podcast. We don't got a whole lot going on this week. We had the PNC Championship last week. So we'll go ahead and recap that. We got a little segment here. We're gonna be looking back the last 20 seasons, the best 20 seasons we've seen on the PGA Tour ever. Or not ever. It's the last 20 seasons.
Yes. The past
So
20 years ever.
did some research. It was inspired by a little post I saw about one of the golfers we'll get to here later, and I thought it was interesting. And I texted you about it, and you're like, "Oh, well, Tiger, all of them." But it wasn't actually. There's a few others that really had some pretty solid seasons. So
Yeah.
looking to see who we maybe had as overlap there. But let's go ahead and get into it. I started from like least of the best, right? So I kind of listed it that way. So what was your first one?
I did like 22 years ago. So I did like
Oh
2000.
yeah, I did too because Tiger had in 2000. I assume we're going to talk about that. Yeah.
And that's where I was going with right away. But I think like my first initial reaction was Tiger is going to have the majority of them. But then I kind of really thought about it. It's like if it goes back a little bit more than 20 years too, because he had a lot of them in the 90s that he had some crazy years, then going into the early 2000s. But the first one, of course, and I think it's the most obvious one is 2000 Tiger Woods, 9 total wins, 3 majors. He won the U.S. Open, the Open, the PGA Championship that year. And then the following year, he won the Masters. So that's what they named it, the Tiger Slam, famously, which is now known as. So, obviously it wasn't in the same, he didn't win all 4 majors in the same season, but he had them all
4 in a row.
4 in a
So
row.
it wasn't the fact for me that he won. Well, I mean, obviously that's incredible that he won 4 in a row like that, but the margins. So
Yes.
he won the PGA by 15 strokes,
15.
won
Yeah.
the Open by 8, won the U.S. Open by 15. Like that is just unreal. I think was it. No, okay, no, it was no. Okay, I was thinking the Open. Nobody else was under par, but I think a couple people were under par.
Yeah.
I think it was
But
a
his stroke average that year was a 67.7. I mean, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And not only that too, like, and a lot of people I was kind of reading more and more about obviously the Grand Slam versus the famous Tiger Slam now. And a lot of people are saying that in their opinion, they think that Tiger Slam is more difficult than the Grand Slam. And the reason why they said that is because if the traditional Grand Slam, it's in throughout one whole season, right? 4 in a row in one season. So you have that momentum, you just keep it going throughout the entire season. When the Tiger Slam, a little bit different, he won the last 3, took a long break, obviously, for the end of the season, and then came back and kept winning. So in their eyes, and I could see it.
It's harder to keep that form for a longer period of time.
Yeah. And I understand that. I mean, I think obviously the traditional Grand Slam is more impressive in my eyes personally.
I think it's just easier to track as like
it's 4, you won the 4 in that season. That's incredibly impressive. No matter how much momentum, just the sheer fact that someone's able to accomplish that, which I believe has only been done one time before. I think like the 1940s, and I forget his name right now. There's only been one time. Huh?
Bobby Jones?
I think so. I think it's Jones' his last name. I gotta look more into it, but it's only been done one time before. So, that's obviously incredibly difficult. But don't get me wrong. The year 2000 for Tiger, 9 wins. And then
that's the standard. That's
year,
the standard.
That's crazy. No doubt. That's insane. So that's where I started. That was my first season that, I felt it was the biggest no-brainer. So one of us was going to bring that one up.
Not to leave it out, but he was also top 5 in 17 of the 20 events that year. So
yeah,
it's top 5.
That's insane. That's literally that's it's so hard to comprehend. Like, and I was doing a lot of research into this, and like, you know, to me it was very interesting. I was trying to find out. I can see if I can pull up the link here again. But there was someone, and I gotta find out where it's at again and who it was. Someone won. I think it was like the most wins in a season. Why can't I find it now?
I do know that it was in 2000 that we're talking about here this season. And it's also should be pointed out that there is what people have called like the Tiger effect after, Tiger's kind of dominance. It's kind
Yeah.
of brought more popularity. So like they are saying that like the field was a little easier back in the day, but I still don't think that takes away from anything like as far as, grading these years. And as we go on, like 2000 was the earliest one, obviously, that we're going to talk about here. But I don't think that factors into like where the season ranks as we
Yeah.
go on. Just like even the fields may get stronger and maybe that makes those seasons more impressive. I still don't think that impacts where the season's ranked.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so. And I got to keep looking into it, and I'll find it maybe towards the end of the episode. But, it's just that Tiger effect is just insane. So he's he's a different freak of me. He was a freak of nature back then. I think after
so that's the first one
sell
here.
him at the PNC, I think you could say a little bit differently.
That was the best season I think I had. I'm gonna go with like if we were ranking these, how many do I have here? I have 6 total, so that was my number one like best season. I'm gonna start with the 6 out of 6 to the least of the best here. And I had Tiger 2002, exactly 20 years ago. So 2 years after that, that was 5 years or 5 years, 5 wins in 2 majors, the Masters and the U.S. Open. I mean, 5 wins. It doesn't sound like a lot compared to the 9, but it's still a lot of wins compared to Scotty Scheffler's, as we all just went through. Scotty Scheffler had 4 wins this year and 1 major. And as we talked about last year, that all happened kind of real early on. And then Tigers, yeah, again, 2002, 5 wins, 2 majors, Masters, U.S. Open. So yeah, that's just another incredible year. And it's coming off of, when he won the Masters in 2001, like you mentioned, for the Tiger Slam. So 2 Masters in a row. I mean, just incredible.
And listen to this one too. Like, just so he's won multiple majors many times, Tiger has, but there have only been 20 golfers to have won 2 or more majors in the same year. That's great. That's insane to me as well.
20?
20.
It's actually kind of high.
I mean, but I wonder if let's see if I can find who's done it multiple times. Like, Tiger definitely has done it. Jesus.
I mean, we're going to talk about a few of them.
2, 3, 4. But he's one of many of them. So my next one, and I'm assuming you probably have this one on your list as well, is Jordan Spieth in 20.
That's on my list. That wasn't my next one, but yeah, it's on my list. Yep.
In 2015, he had 5 total wins, 2 majors, Masters in the U.S. Open, and all 4 majors that year. We talked about, Tiger said he was T5 that how many times that in 2000, but Jordan Spieth in the 4 majors was first, T4, and second.
Yeah.
And then he also won the FedEx Cup that year and the Tour Championship, and he was 22 years old when he did it.
So I think he won the Masters at 21. So he turned 22 during that season.
Yeah, he was 20. Yeah, 21, 22 during that season. That's insane.
And he tied for the Masters. He tied Tiger's record that year at the Masters for the low 72 hole record at 18 under, and that was Tiger's record from 1997. So I mean, that's just an incredible year.
Yeah.
We kind of expected more from Jordan after that, and he kind of just same with Rory, kind of tailed off, but he's still been around, obviously, but not as we kind of expected him to just be Tiger again, Tiger 2.0. Just didn't really happen, but obviously incredible year. It was just, I remember watching that Masters actually, and it was just incredible.
That's a Jordan's a good guy, but I agree he definitely hasn't been in the same form. I think he started and he might have crashed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Rory again. Rory had that one Masters where he didn't win it, but he was like super young. I think he was like 21 maybe at the time, and we kind of expected that same thing again. The next number one guy, and he kind of tailed off a little bit, but he's obviously back now. Like he's won majors again,
Yeah,
so maybe we'll see the same thing from Jordan. Just maybe a little more maturing. Maybe I don't know.
could be, could be. Who's your
So
next one?
my next is so this is what inspired me for this segment was VJ Singh. Oh, I didn't
Mm,
get the year. 2004, I believe. 2004. I didn't type it in my notes, but I'm pretty sure it was 2004. Do you have this one?
mm-mm,
This inspired it. So 9 wins in 2004. Nine. Same as Tigers 2000, but
mm-hmm.
only one major, and that was the PGA Championship. At the time, the PGA was the last major of the year at that time. Not anymore. It's the Open now. But again, we talked about Tigers. 17 of 20 events were top five in 2000. VJ had 18 top tens.
Insane, man.
So that's incredible, and he earned more money that year, and in 2004 than any season Tigers ever won.
Really
And that was in 2004.
interesting.
So
I
nine
just
wins, one major, 18 top tens. So that earned him more money than Tigers ever won um, on tour.
I wonder if I can find I just saw I think some account I think Golf Digest posted something about Tiger that I forget what year it was to early 2000s he made like $41,000 for every shot.
I saw what you're talking about. I screenshotted it. I have it.
Do you?
I saw
Perfect.
that today. I can pull up here in 1 second.
Yeah, I saw it was like I thought it was
During the
like
2008 season,
there you go.
PGA Tour season, Tiger earned $4,180 for every shot he hit. In his career average per shot is 1,282.
Wow. So he quadrupled it that year. That's
That's in 2008. That wasn't in 2008 season. Wasn't even on my list.
no, no, exactly. And I wonder, there was a whole breakdown for that too for DJ this year, wasn't there for Live?
I think I saw that, which is
Yeah,
I'm sure it was an
I'm sure it
astronomical
was. I'm
amount.
sure it was like $50,000 for every shot. Yeah. They have less, smaller tournaments, so less
Right.
days. So maybe it goes up a little bit. What's next season? I really had just the two main ones that I was looking into for this. What else
Okay,
you got?
so we had all those. So I have two more like breakdowns. I had a couple honorable mentions as well. But my next one after VJ was Tigers 2005. The
Uh-huh.
Tigers 2005, 6 wins, two majors again. So Masters and the Open at St. Andrews, the old course. And so this is the Masters where you hear that sound bite for on the 16th shot. You hear he's preparing on the fringe. He's chipping in on 16.
Yeah.
And it's when Vern Lundquist goes, "Oh wow, in your life, have you ever seen anything like that?" As it falls in. That's the famous Vern Lundquist call.
They did that too at the PNC this past weekend. They're like interviewing Tiger, and they asked him. They're like, they talked about that shot, and they're like, "What did the announcer say?" And he like repeated it verbatim. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty cool to hear that.
Vern Lundquist is a legendary call, man. He's
Yeah.
awesome. And then so he also won that Open at St. Andrews wire to wire. He held the lead wire to wire that Open as well. So I mean, just adding to it, just
Wow.
incredible. 6 wins, two majors. Like it sounds kind of repetitive, like we said, 5 wins, two majors in 2002, 2005, 6 wins, two majors. But I mean, it's repetitive on this list here, but like it's incredible looking back. Just again for reference, Scotty Scheffler's this year was 4 wins, one major, and we were all just kind of dropping in our jaws at that one. So it was just even better
Honestly.
than that.
And I felt like if he would have kept his momentum going throughout the whole season, I mean, I felt like we talked about this earlier. He had a really incredibly hot season, then he kind of dwindled down a little
Right,
bit.
but I think he still had it. Was it a top five at the Open? I think he was top five at the Open in St. Andrews this year.
Might have
Top five
been.
or top 10. So again, another good finish. And then my last one here, as far as like big breakdowns, was the next year, Tiger 2006, 8 wins, two majors. So again, just even better, just slightly worse than that 2000 season, I guess. So he won the Open that year, the PGA Championship that year. That was actually the year his father died of cancer too. So, and then he also won 6 consecutive PGA Tour starts, 7 if you count the Hero. It wasn't called the Hero at the time, but the World Challenge.
Yeah.
7 if you count that in November. There were only 16 players, so but 7 if you count that one. 7 in a row.
Jesus. That's insane. That's, I mean, it's absolutely insane. I'm looking at like just different I was trying to find like the exact opposite of what we're talking about now, of like the worst seasons in golf, like who had like
Well,
the absolute worst.
we it's Jason Day, all of his. So
Oh, I should have known that one was coming. And I couldn't really find like the worst season, but I
what do
found
you
like
mean worst? Like,
it's like who like performed like the absolute worst, like what was like the worst season anyone's ever had before.
well, there has to be like a criteria, like worst of like the best golfers.
Correct. Yeah, it has to be like, a disastrous, like, obviously a world renowned golfer, not someone who's just started, but
That
it's
might be
hard to
harder to
find. But
find.
I
I didn't
found
look at that.
the worst round ever on the PGA Tour,
What was that, 85?
123.
What?
We've got a chance.
Was that the
Yeah.
one where it was like the fantasy football punishment where the guy had to play a qualifying event?
That was recent. No, that was recent. I think this one was in 1974. 1974, playing in the Tallahassee Open. Mike Reeser achieved the none too coveted record of signaling for the two worst cards in the history of the PGA Tour. He carded a 123 on Saturday and then a 114 on Sunday.
Huh.
There it is.
I was just born in the wrong era. That's what
He
it
played
was.
he played in 241 tournaments too.
I was just born in the wrong era.
I'm guessing so. That's insane. I think every professional or every amateur golfer is thinking the same thing. If only it was me
So
back
you're
then, I could
saying there's a chance.
with a chance. What do you do for
But
a
I had a
living?
few honorable mentions
Regular
here, like I
golf.
said. So Scotty Scheffler, 2002 this season, 4 wins, one major. Brooks Koepka, 2018,
Yes.
he only had 2 wins, but they're both majors.
Yep.
And he was it the PGA? He was defending champ, so he won that back-to-back years. I think it was PGA. And then Cam Smith again this year. So I put down 3.5 wins because one was live. 3.5 wins, one was live.
Three
And
and
then
three quarters.
sure. And then the one major, he won the PGA this year, right? The PGA, and right now,
Cam Smith.
yeah,
He
because
won the
Matt
Open.
Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open,
He won the Cam
or
Smith.
he won the Open. That's right, he won the Open. JT won the PGA this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
3.5 wins this year. So 2 incredible years in like same year. So that was kind of impressive. He also won the Players, kind of everybody calls the fifth major. So he won the. Did he win the Centuries? The tournament coming up here in a couple weeks.
I don't remember off the top
I
of my
think he
head.
won the Century Tournament of Champions in 2022 this year. So yeah, really good year. Those are my honorable mentions I have, but that was my whole list.
That's pretty good. I think my prediction still kind of stands though. Tiger obviously owns the majority of it.
No, yeah, of course.
Of course he does. I mean, it's Tiger.
The one that stood me out was VJ Singh. That was incredible. Like it just kind of out of nowhere, right in the middle of Tiger's peaks. Like we had that 2002 season we highlighted, 2005 season we highlighted, out of nowhere. Just, I mean, you go up against him and it's in Tiger's prime to just kind of ball out like that. It's impressive.
I agree with you. And speaking of VJ Singh, it's a really good transition you just
That is a
made.
great transition to the PNC.
Yeah.
Team Singh won the PNC. And so fun fact, nobody guessed Singh in our Facebook poll. Nobody.
I saw that.
After
They
21
won,
or so comments.
I noticed that. I was curious if anyone predicted that one. There's a lot of Team Woods and a lot of
There's a lot of dailies, a lot of
Daily
Thomases.
Thomas, yeah,
Yeah.
but no one predicted that one. So
No.
that was cool to see. That I know that was their 16th start together. They finished runner up 3 times, so that was their first ever win on the PNC Championship. So that's exciting. That's got to be a cool moment, father son, bonding and winning together. It's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, it's played together a lot, so it sounds like just another day at the office, maybe. I don't know, but they played together a lot. But yeah, 26 under for Team Singh, Team Thomas, Justin Thomas and his father, John Daly and his son, tied second at 24 under, a couple shots back. And then Tiger and Charlie finished tied eighth, 20 under. So obviously saw them a lot over the last couple days, but yeah, so that was the PNC.
You saw them limping around a lot.
Yeah, I saw Charlie was obviously Tiger, but Charlie had a little hiccup apparently.
It's a little ankle problem I saw, but I'm telling you what, that kid's looking big. He's looking like
He's 13. He's 13.
He's looking like he just the difference a year. He looks just like I don't know. I should be careful on this word. He looks yoked. He just looks like big. Like he just looks like he has been training. Like
he's been on that liver diet.
Liver King.
The Liver King diet.
I don't know about that.
The primal.
You know what? He could be. But he looks like he's getting strong, man. And you just see like some of the highlights, or I don't know if you watched it at all, but like the whip swing he's got with his driver. I mean, he like the finish through and he like whips it back really fast. Like just it's very different. It's incredibly different like how his swing looks. It looks
the only thing I see about his swing is just everybody comparing it to Rory and what Tiger said.
Yeah, it's like the most balanced swing there is on the tour.
Just
perfection.
I've seen that 100 times in the last couple of days.
Yeah, no, I definitely have seen that a lot. If you don't have anything else, I have a new segment I thought of.
Okay.
It's called What Would You Do? Okay, so I'm going to give you a scenario. Okay, you're going to be someone, you're going to be a person. I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want to hear what would you do if you were in this person's shoes? Okay, so here's your scenario. Who are you? You're Greg Norman. Okay, you probably can see where I'm getting into this. What is your
ripped?
Yeah, no. What is your mission here? Your mission is to continue to grow the live player base, not fans, not TV deals, player base. Okay. So you're in the exact moment you are in right now, December, whatever today's date, 21st of 2022. You're going into 2023, just released the new calendar year for live. How would you go about it if you're in his shoes? How would you attract more players? What kind of players would you attract? Would you go after the traditional big names, or would you tailor to it some more up and coming? What would you do?
Well, I think we got our answer.
Money.
Money is going to be the one that talks, and I'm not really worried about the small golfer right now. Well, let me think, because I was going to say, just don't worry about the small names and just go after the big names. Don't waste the Saudis' money on the little peewees like Adam Shank. No offense, but go after the big names.
I shouldn't say big names. I should say like PGA Tour players right now. Would you continue to go after PGA Tour players, whether they're big names or small names? But arguably, many PGA players are big names. Getting them to transfer over to live would be considered a big move. Would you do that, or would you go after more like your collegiate, your up and coming golfers? Obviously the PGA created the PGAU, trying to retain that talent to not go to live. If you're Greg Norman in this scenario, what would you do to try and continue to grow that player base? Because like obviously they're doing different things on entertaining the guests, the experience, and we're going to experience this in March. What is it again? March, when they have a live event down here in Arizona. Like they're different. They have like concerts, and which I know the PGA does too, and like different types of like experiences during the tournaments. But how do you continue to grow that player base? Because arguably that's the most important thing. I mean, there's no players, there's no tournament, obviously, and you got to have the big names, which they got some decent big names this past year. So it's not like they're clearly not getting Tiger Woods. They're clearly not going to get Rory McIlroy. JT. I think they have said it many times enough that it's not a money thing. Like they're there for the PGA, which is their stance. So, what would you do? Would you continue going after the PGA players, or?
I think you do a few things. I think you Obviously some people have their foot, buried in the mud. They're not moving, they're not budging. That's some of the PGA players. And I keep picturing when they keep saying that, like, oh, money doesn't matter. It's that meme with the guy crying but the face mask that's smiling. That's what
Yeah,
I picture when I see them say that.
yeah,
Maybe, I mean, maybe not, I don't know, but money talks to everybody. I don't care who you are.
yeah.
But that's kind of my sense
Don't
on
lie
that.
about it. It's the truth.
But I mean, whatever, it is what it is. But I would do one. I would anybody that's willing to come over, I would throw them in the bag. They have the unlimited resources. The money's not going to be a problem for any
Definitely not.
PGA players. I would do that. Any big time players, and then two, you mentioned the PGAU. I would do that. Basically, I think they already have their own Asian kind of feeder system. The Asian Tour is what it's called. They're doing that. They're partnering with them, and I would do kind of like don't let any international up and coming golfers, like you mentioned, young golfers, get to the PGAU. There's plenty of American golfers that are going to keep that in PGAU,
Mhm.
fed with players. Don't let any or as minimal amount of international players go to the PGAU and have your own kind of feeder system that way,
I
and
agree
that
with that.
way
That's
you
a
can
good point.
get the young players that way that are going to be able to be up and coming cheap talent, maybe, so you don't have to spend all your bag on them. And then also, what did I say? Okay, I was going to do a TV deal. You got to get a TV deal
Yeah,
because the players are going to want that. They're going to want their brand to get more exposure.
of
And yeah,
course.
like the bag speaks a lot right away, but you need that exposure for your brand, for your the endorsement deals that you get. They're going to want to see you on TV eventually. So that's just what I mean. A lot of different ways that's going to help attract those talents as well.
I like what you said there because I think the Live does a good job. I think only a couple tournaments are in the US. A lot of them are overseas
Right.
versus the PGA. By far, the majority are here in the United States. Which obviously they're successful with their model that they have right now. Like obviously, the PGA is obviously successful. Live is quote unquote arguably successful for a startup in a startup terms. But how do you retain that talent, that young talent? Well, it's overseas. That's a good point. But number two, now I started thinking about this when you were saying that is like, a lot of these golfers, they get, I was thinking like, okay, well, what if like Live starts to like offer scholarships to like pay for golfers schooling? So like, let them go to school, pay for it. And then like after they kind of scoop them into the Live system after they graduate. But like a lot of schools already pay, obviously, they give scholarships to their golfers, bigger schools. And that's obviously the better talent. So then it's thinking like, isn't there what's that called the a new law that NIL? What is it?
NIL.
And
Yeah.
yeah, NIL or NAL?
NIL.
NIL.
Name, image,
So
likeness.
yeah. So it was what?
Name, image, likeness.
Gotcha. I didn't know. I thought you said something else. So like, what if Live did something like that and they started like sponsoring, these collegiate golfers to, whether that's some sort of deal that, they're. Can you imagine how bad the PGA would be if like they're playing in tournaments?
I don't think you need it because I mean, up and coming golfers that are on like Corn Ferry and whatnot in like college, maybe not college, but maybe more so with NIL. But they already have endorsements. You can get endorsements, so I don't know how
Yeah.
much that would. It seems like that would be what it would do is just they would have endorsements.
Yeah. I feel like, but the Live, I feel like can get involved with that somehow, like endorsing some collegiate athletes. I mean, money, like you said, money talks. Money talks to
I mean, it
people.
would be like the what is it? Saudi Aramco is like the oil company that's like the Saudi
Yeah.
state. It's like the Saudi state owned oil company.
Yeah.
You can have Saudi Aramco on your polo sleeve, maybe. I don't know.
Telling you, if I was a college golfer and this Live was like, hey, we've got, we got a bag for you, so some bar money to go impress some ladies. If you just rock this logo on your shoulder, I'd be like, can I put another one over on this shoulder too? Like, how big's the bag here? I mean, the money's going to talk. Money's going to talk. So I was just curious on what you would do. I had a follow up. I don't want to run. We have like a little over 5 minutes here, but I wanted to ask too, real fast, is now like Liv's done a good job of getting some of these bigger names. Is now how do you retain them? Like we kind of talked about this a little bit before, is
I
like
think PGA forced their hand on that one. They don't have anywhere else to go.
I think like yeah, but and I agree, but like I feel like at the end of the day, like PGA would if like Cam Smith tomorrow is just like, you know what, I made the wrong decision. I want to come back. I have a really hard time seeing at the PGA to be like, nope, you're banned for let's say another year, whatever it is. Like you need to pay your. I have a
I could
hard
see
time.
PGA doing that just because their egos,
They're just
their
petty.
egos are like, no, we're just going to shun this guy. But I also think if
It's
you let
funny.
him back, if you just let Cam Smith back, like, you make it easy, then other golfers that live are like, oh, so I can just go back. And so they might.
Yeah,
But I
like
think PJ's their egos are so big, I don't think they would.
I don't think they would. I
But
don't
even
know.
if they did, I think it would be helpful in getting the golfers back.
I think so too. Because I think like the thing is for Live is like you obviously got to keep growing this, but like you got to retain those big people too. Like
I don't think they'll have an issue retaining
the
though.
signing bonus. I mean, people aren't loyal. I think that was proven fact. Like they've already left the PGA. What's stopping them from leaving Live eventually? It might happen. Like they've already proved that they've done it one time, they can do it again. It's like someone that cheats in a relationship. They've already cheated one time before. Like you're how are you gonna be surprised if they cheated with another person? Like that's how they do. So like that's the same thing for like the golfers. They have already left a whole organization that they played their entire like lives to get up into. They already left it for money. So like what's stopping them from leaving again? I don't know. I feel like the Liv's got to figure something out. Like they got to keep growing, but they got to retain these players somehow. Obviously, like Dustin Johnson, he's probably pretty happy. He just won a ton of money because he kept winning, but like not everyone wins.
Well, I think they already are by having the team event. That's already a retention aspect to it because Pat Perez was awful and still made a ton
Yeah.
of money. So I
Yeah,
think
that's true.
that's a retention technique right there. And then the winners, so the bottom tier golfers are already taken care of. Okay, they have an incentive to stay. The top tier already have an incentive because the payouts are even larger than the PGA. So I think that's kind of answering a little bit there.
A little bit, but again, only one team wins. Yeah, that's like 4 or 5 golfers. How many golfers are on a team? Obviously
Yeah,
the
per
four
event.
aces,
Yeah.
the four aces dominated last season. They won, I think, the majority of the team events. So again, that still leaves a lot of golfers out. This continues to happen year after year. Again, this is all speculation. Who knows if the four aces are continuing to dominate? Who knows if
Well, they
Dustin
already
Johnson?
changed the team up. I think they already made a trade since the team event one, I think.
I don't know. I have no
Or
idea.
no, the teams haven't been decided yet, I don't think.
I don't think they've been
Yeah.
decided.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see. That would be kind of cool if teams got like owners, like the same thing of how like the MLB, NFL, like the teams got owners and then they're able to trade golfers and like sign new contracts to their teams.
No, I think it needs to be draft
I think that'd be
because it would
pretty
just be the
cool.
richest owner would just have Cam Smith, DJ, Bryson, all of them, and they would just wreck whoever the richest owner was.
Yeah, I mean, there obviously would be one richest owner, but there's a lot of rich people that would try and buy into this. Like, if no matter who you are, which person is, they probably like golf. It's going to be might be a profitable business. Someone is going to be there to offer. There's not one person that makes $1 trillion that's going to be like, I will buy everyone and no one can buy anyone else. Like, I don't know. This is all very hypothetical speaking, but
But
it'd be
I don't know.
interesting. It'd be interesting. I would love to be a live golf team
I
owner.
don't think they're going to lose anybody this year. Maybe like
No,
2 or 3 years down the
no,
road.
no, no. That's what I'm saying. It's definitely not. I don't expect them to lose anyone within even like the next like maybe 2, 3 years. But like down the line, 5 years from now, could be a whole different world. Could be a whole different world. Who knows? That's all I got, man.
Yep, that's all I got. We got our next action. Kind of talking about it earlier. Next action, we got January 5th at Century Tournament of Champions. That's in Kapalua, Hawaii. It was Cameron Smith. I had it right in my notes. I don't know why I was speculating earlier. Cameron Smith won last year. So there you go. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit next week and preview that a little bit and get back into betting corner and
Yeah,
get that number bumped up.
I'm looking at that scorecard right now. It's hurting me. It's hurting my soul a little bit. That's okay though.
But
That's
yeah,
okay.
that'll do it for this episode. And we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.